What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Generation Elevation. Now, it's 2025. We are back this year with some incredibly magical guests, and I cannot wait to share these new episodes with you. Today, I am joined by someone very special who I only met recently, but it's like one of those meetings where you feel like you know this person for a really long time. So I have so much gratitude to be able to host this conversation today and to share this energy with you all. This person, he is a singer, songwriter, and some of you may know him as Juggy D. He's all about sharing the good vibes, and he's also on a spiritual journey, much like the rest of us here at Generation Elevation. So, when I met Juggy, I was walking through the gym at White City House, and I just felt his energy, walked over, and I'll get him to explain about it in a second, but it just felt right. And one thing led to another. I ended up actually facilitating a breathwork and meditation session for Juggy. And like I said, I'll get him to speak into this in a second, but that's how we met and automatically just clicked. I loved his energy, loved his vibe. And as I got to know his story, I thought, gosh, I got to get him on my show. So, Juggy, thank you so much for coming on here today.
It's a pleasure to be here, and so good to hear of your journey as well.
Thank you.
I've been following your Instagram page after the first time we met, and let me tell you, for what she touched on, the way we actually met was so magical, and it was, when you're looking for something in the world and you put out good vibes and good energy, that energy seems to find you somehow. And I was in the gym and I was speaking to one of the managers in the gym, and me and him have connected. We were talking about our journeys and stuff, and he was like, "I think you should do some breathwork classes." And as he said that, and he mentioned Elise, there's a girl called Elise that does some breathwork classes here. You should meet her. You should do her class. And as he said her name, Elise walked over, and it was like, how was she there at that very moment, at that very time? And I use this phrase very often, and that phrase is, "It's not odd, it's God." And that was something that was meant to be. She was meant to be put in my path to take me on a journey, which I absolutely loved. If you ever get a chance to do a breathwork class, you must do.
Thank you so much. Honestly, like it was really bizarre because when I walked over, you both looked at me like, there you are. I was like, I am here.
Yeah.
Yes. What's going on?
Yeah.
And yeah, so like I would love to hear a little bit about your experience in the breathwork journey. Like that was really powerful, I know, for you
It
and
was.
where you're at, because you said to me, I remember when I first met you, like, wow, this is exactly what I need at this point in time. So share to me a little bit about what happened in that class for you
Oh my
that
God.
made it so great.
Wow.
Tell me.
I think it was great for me, and I think it was great for other people to witness what had happened in that class, because they felt the depth of the work that Elise does. And to certain things, you have to be very vulnerable and open, and you have to be open to um, letting your emotions and your feelings just flow. And I stepped into that room and I almost wasn't going to make it. And I actually messaged her saying, "Oh, Elisa, I don't think I'm going to make it. I'm stuck in traffic." And I don't know how, but there was that. It was so weird that I clearly wasn't going to make it. And for somehow my navigator rerouted, and it was almost like God cleared my path. And I got there like on time. And I don't know how I did it. I actually don't know. But it was meant to be. Anyway, I stepped into the class, went through the class with Elise, and it was just magical. It was magical because I felt like it was 10 minutes, like, because you said it was breath work, it was meditation, and it was Reiki, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was still waiting for the other things to happen. But before I knew it, it was like, oh my word, it's like we'd gone through 1 hour. And what I felt in what felt to me like 10 minutes, but was an hour, was just the most unbelievable experience. Like all of my emotions, and like I cried all the way through. And it was, I guess, a lot of stuff that was locked in, a lot of things that I'd been, I'm going through a lot of personal stuff at the moment. And it was a lot of emotions that were locked in that need releasing. And her class really helped unlock all those emotions in a beautiful way, which made me so light, refreshed, and almost have like a clearer vision of where I'm meant to be. And as I was sharing back, at the end of a class, she always likes to share back their experience. I shared back and I said, I on the way here, and I haven't seen my kids for a while, currently separated, and I hadn't seen my kids for a while, and they called on the way to that session, and it was unbelievable that they called on that day on the way to the session. And when I said that, a guy sitting next to me, who I didn't know, never met, his name is Travis, he stopped me and said, sorry, what's your name? Juggy. And I was meant to tell you that you are loved. And I was like, oh my God, just unreal. He felt that feeling the moment I walked in the room. And I was like, I've got goosebumps now that I'm
Me
just
too.
talking about it.
It was amazing.
It was just like, I never met this guy, and he had this message sent to him that he needed to share with me, and it just broke me down even further. But it was just such a beautiful moment. And then I went over to kind of shake his hand, and then we just ended up both standing up and hugging each other in the room, and everyone was like,
everyone was crying.
Everyone was crying, and they was like, oh, this is so beautiful.
Yeah.
And it was just a moment. It was all stemmed from the work we did in the class. And so thanks to you, it really, that really touched me, and it was just such a beautiful experience, and has really set me up for a journey which I was looking for, and that was just like, just.
Thank you. That is so kind. And I really wanted to start the episode with that, because that is how we met, right?
It is.
And it was like, whoa, okay, that just happened.
Yeah.
It was so profound and also inspiring for everyone else in the room to show that when you open yourself up to vulnerability, it is the ultimate act of courage. And when you step into that courage, that is when you can experience the ultimate love. And love whereby it's like inclusivity, it is belongingness, it is being at peace.
I hugged so many people that day that just came over and said, they were like, can I hug you, please? Can I give you a hug? And I was like, and I don't know these people. And that's the power of what you did, that brought everyone so close together. It's such a beautiful, spiritual and loving way, with no bad intention or no, it was just so beautiful, so nice. And it was just so nice to have so many great human beings in one room that all shared the same experience in different ways, but then could connect on the same kind of journey.
For sure. Thank you. I think the biggest word there is connection. And I see so much greatness in every person that I meet. And I think what happens is we kind of build this mask or shell around ourselves going into different places based on the expectation of who you need to be in that space. And in that class, I think a lot of people come in with that masks and walls still up. However, one person that leads the way then inspires everyone else to let down their walls and be authentic and actually connect. And it's like, yes, you get to meet this person who's also great. And so now you're open to those interactions rather than like continuously being on that same routine. You're never going to waver off that. Then you're never going to have new experiences or new connections. That's how I see it. Absolutely. So yeah, thank you for sharing.
No, thank you for taking me through that experience. It was magical. It was amazing.
So obviously you are at that point where you were looking for something like this. And the way I introduced you on the show today was you're on a spiritual journey. However, I get the feeling that that wasn't always the case. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'd love to hear about like your career and your life getting to that point. Like, obviously, there's so many choices and decisions that leads you to a point where you're going to be open enough to try something like that.
Yeah.
So I'd love to hear like how those maybe three key main movements or transformative moments in your life that led you to that space.
I think I think it's been within me for many, many years. You know, I always felt like I had some kind of an issue with alcohol, and then that which held me back from things, and naturally with people that have an issue with alcohol, they tend to, you know, get to a certain point, and then they may have a bit of an episode, which then takes them 5 steps back, you know, and it was consistently like that. And I was always trying to drink like normal people, but there was other things that were involved with my drinking, which, you know, which weren't healthy. And I started in 2013. We had our first child in 2011, and I just said when she was born, because she was an absolute godsend and a blessing, and I delivered her in my house.
Wow.
Yeah, I delivered her, not by choice, just happened. It was just a magical moment. And it says on the birth certificate, delivered by daddy. And it was just amazing. So after that, the number 13, I'm from the Sikh Punjabi culture, and the number 13 is a very significant number. And it just came off my tongue, and that I was going to go sober, teetotal for a year in the year 2013. And I did. I went to Golden Temple in Amritsar, which is one of the most sacred gurdwaras in the world. And I went there on the 1st of Jan. I prayed and asked for God to give me strength to stop everything I was doing. I did. Self-will. And that was kind of like, that I would say was the beginning of my journey of being able to say, I don't want this anymore. But it was, at that time, it was just a test to see if I could do it. And I was testing myself, and I did. But that time, I celebrated that 1 year with a drink.
Right. Yeah.
Right. But that was what I had told myself, that I'm going to do a year. So it was that the reward at the end of that year was to celebrate with a drink. But that was what I'd already planned, that it was okay. So that was the first point. Fast forward many years, 4 or 5 years, there was a lot of ups and downs in my life. Lived a complete rock star lifestyle, you know, mad consequences. And then 2017, my very, very close friends recommended me going to AA. I had no idea what AA was. I'm like, what's that? And it's like Alcoholics Anonymous. And they mentioned a friend who I used to drink with back in the day, and we'd partied together, who was sober, 5 years clean and sober, and he had become a sponsor. They said, you need to call him. These are my friends that I've had since uni days, and so they know me. They know my whole lifestyle. They knew, you know, the mad tours that I go on and stuff. And, you know, I've been very grateful, very blessed throughout my whole journey with my career and with what God has blessed me with. But, you know, it comes with a lot of stuff that you've got to really take control over, and that you can get lost in easily. And anybody in music will know that. So 2017, I reached out to him, and I started my journey AA, and I became part of the fellowship, and I started doing classes and going to meetings and taking service, and it was going really well. And then I felt like I had control. I felt like I gained control, and then maybe I could go out and drink, and it wouldn't lead to other things. And I can do this now. First time, it's okay. You're in good surroundings. I was with my partner. Second time was okay. Third time, I was on my own. And in this situation, I believe there's like devil and an angel. And when the devil lives inside you, he always wants to take you back. and the battle is with the devil. That's why this is my personal opinion and my personal view and how I feel my life navigated. And I always had this constant battle with the devil and the angel. And the angel was trying to save me. And that angel is God and my higher power. The devil was bad influences, all the distractions and stuff like that. And I relapsed. I relapsed hard, and I was back out there again, and it was carnage. And there was a lot of personal destruction within my relationship and stuff like that, which hard to deal with. And then in 2021, I took the final step. That was the third point where I said to myself that this is it. I need to stop and I need to knock this on the head forever. Otherwise, I'm going to die.
Mm.
There is no other way. I'm going to die. And I probably should have been dead. I probably shouldn't even be here right now, but God had other plans for me. And I believe now I'm in a place where my purpose is to help others, empower others, and try and save them from what could have killed me. And if my story and my journey can be somebody else's survival guide, then I'm going to share it. So that's where I'm at the moment. I took the step on the 15th of October 2021, a day before my daughter's 10th birthday, and I wasn't going to see her, and that was going to be the first time I wasn't going to see my daughter, who had her first breath of life in my arms, and that broke my heart. That really broke my heart that I wasn't going to see her. And I stepped back into the rooms, and I was told to do 90 and 90. So anybody that's in AA or knows about AA, or even if you don't know about AA, it would be suggested that you do 90 meetings in 90 days. And it's like the core foundation of AA and step work. And what that does is it's like, if I give you an example of building a house, and if you have weak foundations, your house is going to eventually topple over. And that you can relate that to like a relapse. So I did my 90 in 90. I in fact did 96 meetings in 90 days. And it was every day, I'd get up, I'd shower, I'd fix myself up, and I'd make it a day of it, and I was just focused solely on that. And here we are, over 3 years. I've had some dark days in between. I've had ups and downs, but I'm 3 years and just actually tomorrow I'm going to be 3 years and 4 months.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that's tomorrow. And but yeah, like I said, that there's been ups and downs along the way. But then I've really felt that AA has given me tools to deal with life on life's terms, because it teaches you a lot about how to manage life on a whole, not just because of the drink or whatever. Just to be a good person and really use those tools that you get from AA, and use them in general life. And it makes you a better person. And you can be then if you're well, then you're good for other people around you. That's what I believe.
Yeah, I completely agree with that too. It's like trying to give from an empty cup, right? You just can't do that. And so what would you say is the biggest like learning or lesson that AA has given you?
I think the biggest lesson is just to believe in yourself and be honest with yourself. You don't need to prove anything to anybody. You're not doing it for anybody. You're doing it for yourself. Because if you start, and I had done it in the past for somebody else, and then that didn't work because I wasn't doing it for myself. And having that real true connection with the higher power, and your higher power could be anything. Some people get a little bit kind of they get put off by the whole God thing, but it's not a God program. It's not a cult. It's AA is a fellowship, which is the best club in the world. If you have an issue with alcohol or any other substances, get yourself to a meeting, and there's loads of meetings. There's AA, there's CA, there's NA, and these are all there to help you, and they're all free. All you've got to do is turn up, and they're all self-supported because everybody wants those meetings to carry on, so they're self-supported. And I get shocked because if you go on the AA website, you type in any postcode, you'll find untold me every day, morning, afternoon, night, online meetings that you can join worldwide. And I mean, these meetings are everywhere. And what that told me was, oh my God, there's so many people that are struggling out there. There's so many people that are in this place and need help.
Why do you think that people get into that place in the first place? Like, why do you
Oh,
think that
there's
happens? Like that struggle?
there's numerous. I mean, I can't begin to say why for anybody else, but mine was purely just mine came from I didn't have a bad upbringing. Came from a good family. I traveled loads with my family. Everything was pretty good. So I can't relate anything to my like past trauma or anything like that. I was just like going through the phases of life and trying different things and friends going, oh, let's try this. And we're like, oh, yeah, let's do it, And it was just that kind of thing. And then before you know it, there's like consequences. And before you know it, you're like a little bit in too deep. And you're like, oh, sugar, I think I have a bit of a problem here. And for some people, it can be just like that. There's no real major issue that got you there. But then there's other people that have had a lot of trauma, and they find this as an escape, and drinking as an escape or using as an escape. And then they get to a point where they think, oh my God, I'm now dependent on this and I actually have a problem. And it's like they say, you can have 1,000 problems in the world, but the moment you have a health problem, you only have one.
Yeah,
right?
that's powerful.
Yeah, so you have to look after yourself, spiritually, mentally, physically, and that is what's going to give you a better life.
I completely agree. See, this is why I wanted you on my show, right? So anyone that is listening right now and they're like resonating hardcore with what you're saying, like what would you say if for them that first key step that they make to improving their physical, mental, spiritual health? What would you say?
I think the first thing that you've got to do is admit that you need to do that. And with anything in life, you've got to admit that you have a problem or an issue, or you have a desire to make that change, right? Because if you don't, then you're never going to do it. And I have people, because I share my journey on my social media. And if anybody's listening that would like to, follow my journey, I'm the real Juggy D on Instagram, and that's probably the only one that I use because I'm quite old school. I don't use all social media
That's
platforms.
okay. We'll put it in the show notes.
Cool.
And yeah, I'm sure there'll be listeners wanting to message you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do put it out there, and I feel it's like kind of a responsibility now, being in NA, that and it's one of the steps as well, really, is to share the message. The 12th step is to share the message and help and empower others on this journey where they can help save themselves. And they've just got to be willing to, And I have mothers messaging me who are concerned about their kids, or wives messaging me who are concerned about their partners. And the first thing I ask them is, have they admitted that they have an issue? Because if they haven't, unfortunately, sad truth is there's nothing you can do. You can try as much as you like, but until that person doesn't admit that they have an issue themselves, they're never gonna do anything about it.
It's like what you were saying earlier about when you first tried to stop drinking for someone else, it didn't work. And then when you tried because it was what your will was and that's what you wanted for yourself, that's when it actually clicked into place. It's very much about like the subconscious mind and how our habits are driven by that part of our brain. And so what we think is desirable is usually what we think we'd move towards, and then the pain is what we'd avoid. But that thing, that whether it be alcohol or drugs or any sort of thing that you might find addictive, is usually feeling some sort of pain. So even though the situation is uncomfortable, right, it's like that is more comfortable with that substance than without. So it's like when you're doing something for someone else, well, it could be even just losing weight, it will only last so long. It's not sustainable, that motivation, because it's going without that thing that keeps you safe. And it's like building the safety within yourself to be able to let it go. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. But also, I mean, I would say that in that, where, people have to let go of certain things to grow, and not become dependent and rely too much on that safe place, if that's what they want to call it. Oh, I feel good with that, or I feel safe with that, or that makes me feel at ease. But it's actually destroying you inside. and everybody knows, the after effects are not great. Come downs and the 2 days of lying in bed and feeling terrible, worse than what you did before you started. It's not a great place to be in. And the best place to be is it's to be working on yourself, getting help, healing. And mine started like, when 2021, when I went back to it, I also started going to the temple a lot, connecting with God and meditating. And then, with AA, there's this beautiful morning ritual which my sponsor suggested to me, and I suggest it to others as well.
Please share.
And that is just a very simple ritual which you can do. Anybody can do it, and you can do it whether you have a problem or not have a problem with anything, and it's just a great way to start your day. First and foremost, when you go to sleep at night, put your phone in airplane mode. Switch off from the world, because a lot of people have the thing of first thing in the morning, the first thing they do is pick up their phone, right? You don't want to do that. Try to stay away from that. Your phone is not going to go anywhere. People are not going to go anywhere. You can get back to them after giving yourself time, yourself first and foremost, right? So first of all, get on your knees, thank God for another day or your higher power, because a lot of people do. So that's the first thing. Secondly, meditate. Sit in yourself and breathe 5 to 10 minutes or however long you can. You might only be able to do a minute to start with, but you can gradually work up. Then pray to whoever or whatever you feel. Say a prayer, and then there's a Just for Today card. You can Google it. Just for Today card is so beautiful, and it does set you on the day. And after, I can read it to you, but it's quite long. But if you want to Google it, I'll share it with you after.
Okay.
But for people that are watching and listening, just Google Just for Today, and it'll come up. And once you've read it, you'll understand how beautiful. And the final thing is gratitude list. Make a gratitude list of things that you're grateful for. Put down 5 things on there or 10 things on there. And after that, read a couple of pages of a book. This is your personal something that's going to teach you from the book. It should be a book that's going to teach you something. Just have that. That shouldn't take you more than 20 minutes, right? But that 20 minutes in the morning will set you up for the day so beautifully that you will feel the effect. And I'll tell you why I can say that with confidence, because I started doing it with my kids. I started reading the Just for Today card. I didn't go in everything, but we just did the Just for Today card. And one day, my daughters were arguing, and I said, girls, can you calm down? And like, Daddy, it's because we didn't do the Just for Today card today. Oh my God, that's mad. The fact that she said that was amazing. And I'm like, so it does help, right? And I was like, right, tomorrow morning, we make sure we do it again. So it works. It works. It works for children. It works for adults. So try it.
I love this so much. I think these are really helpful tools and tips for people that are maybe wanting to dip their toe into their own spiritual journey.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious as well about your career within the music industry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure, I mean, I don't want to project, so definitely correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure the stigma of exploring this space and sharing vulnerable stuff online, like you said, you're sharing your journey, you're sharing going to AA meetings, you're sharing the things that you're learning, which I think is so incredibly brave and courageous. Is there a bit of a stigma in the industry? I don't see many other artists do this.
I guess a lot of people were very kind of scared to share. And especially in Asian culture, there's a very big pride thing with men of not kind of sharing things that are going to make them look weak. However, I don't look at it like that, and nobody should look at it like that. If you share, that's a sign of strength. It's not a weakness. And a lot of people in the Asian culture, in all cultures, suicide is gone through the roof, and a lot of suicide is because people do not share what's going on inside them. They keep it locked away, and they keep on using things that are destroying them inside. And then before you know it, they can't deal with life anymore, and they take their own life, And I've had a couple of friends that that have done that. One of my best friends did that. Took his own life, and that was heartbreaking. I went into depression when he passed away. But that also gave me a lot of strength too. Because you learn from those experiences, and you think, and no matter how dark the place is, it's always going to be brighter days. You've got to believe. You've got to believe that nothing lasts forever. Even when there's a fire burning, that fire's going to go out at some point. So you have to believe. You have to do the work. You have to sit with yourself, and you will reach places where nothing matters anymore. You just live life on life's terms, and you are grateful for all the little things. I drove past on the way to your house today, and there was this woman putting out bread to the pigeons, and I just thought that was so beautiful. Such a nice little scene, and just little things will give you just some kind of happiness within yourself. But it's about looking for the little things in life. Sometimes we look for too many big things, big wins. Look for the little wins.
It's like looking through the world, looking at the world through a child's eyes, and having curiosity with everything, and curious about what that person's doing, or what makes that plant grow. And it's just like you said, those little things that can spark creativity, happiness. I want to take it back a little bit to the openness side of things and being able to share from a place of strength. So let's say there are people listening to this episode right now, and they're resonating hardcore with what you're saying. Maybe the only way they know how to socialize is through going for a drink and out drinking, right? So what would you say, or what would be your advice to these people around sparking up those conversations or opening up the conversations to be more vulnerable? How would you share with your mates about what's going on?
It's a bit of a tough one because everybody's different.
Of course.
And everybody does things in their own way. But I'm very vocal. And I've always been very vocal. I was, before I got into music, I was in sales. I'm quite a people's person. I love sparking conversations with random people. And I read something somewhere where it said, if somebody smiles at you, smile back at them. If someone smiles at you, say hello to them. They might be trying to connect with you, and you won't know unless you try, right? And a small gesture like that can lead to such great conversations, and it could be on a train, it could be in a restaurant. I mean, it could be anywhere, right? But it's about having the confidence to speak up, and gaining that confidence. And what's the worst that can happen is that they might not respond, right? And what? It doesn't matter. At least you tried, and if you don't try, you will never know, right?
Yeah, we literally had this conversation. We're laughing at each other now because we had this conversation before this podcast started, and I knew it was going to weave in today because I was like, this is the energy of today, right?
Listen, the energy was crazy from the moment I stepped in the car. I sent a screenshot to Elise, and I messaged her saying, listen, because I was meant to be here for 11. And I said, I'm running about 5 or 10 minutes late, maybe because of traffic, but I should be okay. And then when I looked at the time on my sat nav, it said I was going to get there in 11 minutes and I was going to arrive at 11:11. And mate, everything, I just had shivers go through me again. And 11:11 are angel numbers. I see them all the time, but it was 11:11:11, and I sent her a screenshot, and she was like, "Oh my God, the energy is mad." So yeah, it's unbelievable, isn't it? When that kind of energy is present, it's just magical. It's like so meant to be, isn't it?
Well, that's why I created this show. Like I explained to you before we started, this show is all about elevating everyone that listens. So tuning into this, you get to be a part of this magic that happens here. And I think it is so incredible because life is magic. Everyone is magic. And it's just about recognizing that within yourself. And I think that is the beauty of being around people that match your vibration or uplift you, inspire with different ideas, like different conversations. Like there will be people that are attracted to this episode that may have never even listened to any of my other episodes, but they hear for this. And I think that is so powerful.
Absolutely. And just on that note, being around people that uplift you and lift your spirit and your soul, it is so important, because those are the ones that help you grow. You know, when you sit around people that are so negative, that brings your vibration down as well, you know, and that's why it was so great meeting you, meeting Frank, meeting Travis, like all these people that I've met at Soho House has been unbelievable, you know. And there's more people outside of that I've met that we've been talking about, and that's another show altogether. But one thing I wanted to add to that is on the lines of AA and mixing this conversation in as well, is that I feel that everybody comes to the world blessing. Right? The reason they don't reach us is because we put up so many barriers, and those barriers are our choices, right? The distractions, things that we might be doing that aren't good for us. And those block the blessings reaching us because you're not aligned, right? And the moment you put those things down, like, you know, there's a saying, like, when I put the drink down, my life changed, right? I'm now living a life beyond my wildest dreams, right? And that's because when you put down all those barriers, God will bless you with abundance, and you will not know how to handle it. It is just so powerful. So it's like, keep your side of the road clear. Don't worry about anything else. Just keep your side of the road clear, and you will be blessed.
Oh my gosh, I have full body goosebumps right now. Thank you for sharing, because this is so right. And I'm going to talk about what we spoke earlier on too. We had a conversation about comparing yourself to other people. And this ties in perfectly with what you just said about you telling your kids when they were watching TV. Maybe I'll let you tell the story, because this relates perfectly to it.
So just a conversation we were having, and then my children sometimes will be watching something on television, and they'll say, "Oh, I wish I could do that." And I remember them saying that one day, and I looked at my daughter and I said, "Stop." She was like, "What's up, Dad?" And I said, "Okay, let's change the way you said that. Don't say I wish I could do that. Say, how can I do that?" Because that person had to learn how to do that, and they're only good at it because they started somewhere as well. And when I explained it to her like that, she was like, "Oh my God, yeah, that's amazing." Because I said, if you say, how can I do that? Then we can start. If there's something you want to do, we can start from how you can do it. That changes your mindset.
It opens a pathway of abundance, right? Versus if it's like, oh, like, I wish I could do that. Automatically you're projecting that you can't. And so for people that are listening to this right now, whatever it is that you're wishing that you could do, or you're looking at other people that are inspiring you and thinking, oh, I wish I could be like that. It's actually know that these people that you look up to, instead of looking up to them, look over to them, because they are your mirror. They are your mirror.
Love that. Yes.
I was literally in the gym yesterday and this poor bloke, bless him, I literally was like, he's like, "How are you?" And I went on this spiritual spiel of being like, you know, I'm just blessed to be surrounded by all these amazing, successful, beautiful people. And I'm just so like, I feel like they're all just a reflection of me and where my journey that I'm on. And I'm really excited and I feel so great. And this poor guy was kind of like, "Oh, that's great." You know, I'm just.
You know how funny that is? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I did the same thing with Frank just yesterday. And I told him about the story of my experience with the breath reset that I shared with you earlier. And he was like, "Oh, how's it going, Chugs?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good." Guess what happened? And, you know, I did this and I did that. And I just went in and I told him everything. And then at the end, I was like, "Do you want to see the video?" And he went, "Yeah, all right, let's see it."
Oh, no.
I did exactly that. But do you know what it is? It's that's feeling comfortable, right?
Yeah.
Feeling comfortable about sharing your journey and your experience. Now, what we don't realize is even though you may have thought that that poor guy would have just stood there and gone, okay, great, but he would have taken something from that.
He did. Yeah, he's lovely.
There you go.
I
So he would have taken something from that, and you've touched him in a way by sharing what you shared. Now, had you just gone, yeah, I'm good, thanks, and walked off, it wouldn't have been the same
It's a
thing, right?
forgettable like moment.
Yeah.
You don't really pay attention to what people say most of the time, but it's how people make you feel. And that's why like I remembered you from my class. I wanted you in my class because I remembered your energy. And when you had that experience with Travis and it impacted the whole entire room, like that is unforgettable. People will still talk about that for months, for years, probably. That breathwork class where this happened, like that will be spoken about because it made everyone feel so connected.
They did. It was just, I mean, it goes so much deeper because I wasn't able to share everything in that time, but that just that whole experience was just phenomenal, and your class is I mean I recommend it to so many people. I walk around the room in the gym and I'm like, have you done this? No. Well, go and sign up. Go and do it. It's and I recommend it highly because it is so powerful. So powerful.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited to see the evolution of where this will go and scaling this to impact more people. And yeah, we'll see. And it's cool that you've kind of caught me on this.
It's gonna be massive. It's
Thank
gonna be
you.
massive, and I'm sure you're gonna grow with it too as well.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
So, on the topic of growth and evolution, of future progression, where do you see yourself? Like, what is your vision for your journey?
So my vision for my journey is I'm on a path of believing that I've now found my purpose. I've found my purpose and I'm still alive today because God wanted me to share the message, empower others, and share what was suggested to me to save other people. And that's what I'm trying to do. And how I will do that, there's a lot of things along the way that I'm planning, which I think will benefit a lot of people. I don't have I mean, it's I'm not huge on social media. I mean, I use it quite actively because of my music and stuff like that. But I feel like I've now kind of tapped into a new fan base because of me sharing my journey and the people and the comments that are coming in and the things that I share in my story on a daily basis are all uplifting, positive, positive sentences, phrases, quotes, and the amount of people that message saying, "Oh my God, I so needed to hear that today. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being so inspiring. Thank you for, sharing this and thank you for sharing that." And I think, well, I can't stop doing this because it's helping so many people. Obviously it helps me because I'm reading it, resonating with it, and putting it out there. But I'm putting it out there for people to benefit from it as well. And but that leads to so many other things. And sometimes I don't really like sharing things before they're done, and so I'd like to keep those to myself. But there is a lot of stuff that I'm planning on doing, which is still gonna be helpful and empowering to individuals that might want to know more about my journey or spiritual healing journeys, so yeah, you follow and jump on the journey.
Thank you so much, Juggy, honestly.
No, thank you for having me. It's an absolute pleasure. And I have listened to some of your other shows and they're so nice. When I'm on a long drive, I play them sometimes and yeah, I get lots from it. I do get lots from it. So yeah, this is a great podcast. Yeah, again, thank you for having me.
Thank you. So before we wrap up, I do have one last question I like to ask all my guests. And it is a question of getting you to channel, getting you to tap into your intuition, your heart, the first answer that comes to you. If you were to leave the audience today with one key piece of information, knowledge, wisdom, a message, what would that be? What do they need to know right now?
Peace, love, and harmony.
Peace, love, and harmony.
That's it.
Beautiful.
That was inside me before you even started asking me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah,
That's it.
just be kind. And just know that everything's going to be okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.